Local productions on QTV are made possible with support from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome to Uncommon Sense. I'm Junia and thank you for joining us. My guest today is Brian Brutyn, Associate Superintendent of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment for the Midland Public Schools. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
That is a mouthful.
It is.
What are you really responsible for, and how does it play out exactly?
Yeah, so at the Midland Public Schools, my job title encompasses making sure that our curriculum is aligned to the state standards, making sure that it's aligned also to the wishes of our parents, of our community, of our business partners as well too, and a lot of red tape that goes into federal and state regulations and compliance. And so state proficiency tests, ACT, SAT, all of those types of tasks fall underneath my jurisdiction. I supervise a department of curriculum specialists and also oversee the principals as well too in the district. And so I have my hands in a lot of things, and it is very, very exciting. No day is the same. Every single day is a new adventure, and it's a job that inspires deep passion for a lot of the things that I'm interested in. Mm-hmm.
What have you learned about supervising these principles that you could share that people could learn to take away in their own lives?
You know, I think one of the most difficult challenges for me in my career pathway has been that I'm kind of a young person to be in the job that I am. I acknowledge that and I recognize that. I was in the classroom teaching really for 5 years before I moved into an administrative role. And when I moved into an administrative role, I was only 27 years old. And there's kind of a stigma that goes along with that. And I actually read a book that was pretty powerful for me called From Buddy to Boss. And there were a lot of lessons that I learned in that book that helps you not have the relationship between yourself and a former friend, which is now a colleague, turn into something that's abnormal. I think the one thing that I've learned is that leadership really comes from two things. One, it's attacking tasks and initiatives with enthusiasm. I think one of my favorite quotes is from Coach Jim Harbaugh from the University of Michigan, and he said, it won't be exact, but attack each day with a relentless enthusiasm unknown to mankind. And so if you're enthusiastic about something, people tend to flock to that. And I think the second thing is people will understand and will follow your lead if they see that your work ethic is determined. I've never been one to boast about accomplishment or to have to pronounce that, you know, you're the first one there and the last one with the light off, but people see that. They know that if you're devoting time and hours to things, that obviously that you're passionate about it and you believe about it. So if you're willing to devote the time and if you're enthusiastic about it, I think that people will follow lead on initiatives that they may have been hesitant about.
Now, you're leading the charge, or one of the people leading the charge, about this new program called STEM.
Correct.
How do you introduce that to the school community and engender the kind of enthusiasm you've just talked about and follow through?
Correct. It's such a multifaceted plan that it's complex, and I think that different people need to learn about it in different ways. And the reason I think it's important to make sure that we're applying the different facets in a way that's easy for people to absorb is change is scary. Anytime that people see a new initiative or change, their first natural reaction is to put up a shield and say, no more, not anything new. We already have enough to deal with. And to calm people's fears, presenting it to them in a way that's non-confrontational, but also letting people know that this isn't just something that's been pulled out of a hat. There's hundreds of hours of research into it. There's a lot of stakeholders that have proven that the idea is actually needed. And so approaching the different groups in a different fashion is going to be critical. So when we're going to roll this out in the Midland Public Schools, the way that we explain this to our students that are going to be going to our new STEM elementary school, it's going to be just a touch different than the way that we are presenting it to the teachers that will be teaching there. And you can't forget the stakeholders, our parents as well. Sometimes parents become more nervous about a new idea or a new location of a new school than students are as well. So our campaign in explaining this to people, it's going to be multifaceted. I found that face-to-face presentations and meetings in smaller groups has worked a little bit better than large town halls. You can become more intimate, answer questions a little bit better. So we plan on getting on to the communication trail very soon here. It starts with our rollout at our next Board of Education meeting, and we'll be out talking to the multiple stakeholders in smaller face-to-face presentations to, one, explain what we're doing, B, explain why, and hopefully they can feed a little bit off of our enthusiasm about it and know that this is going to be something good for the students, good for parents, and hopefully good for the Midland Public School community as well too.
What is the role for parents in this? What do parents have to learn to support this endeavor?
I think that it's shifting the mindset of education from rote memorization of facts to problem-solving abilities and being able to allow their students to explore and also allowing them to be wrong and to fail. The curriculum that we're going to be portraying and instilling in this is problem-based, it's project-based, and it's going to challenge students to work in groups. It's going to challenge students to use motor skills they haven't used before, and it's going to be frustrating because there's rigor to it. But frustration that comes with rigor in a group setting is a great thing because there's life skills with things that we have to deal with in life, and learning to function in group dynamics is another skill that people need to know as well too. So for parents to help prepare their students to be able to flourish in this, it's those dinner time conversations, it's the encouragement that they can give them to, it's okay to fail, just be persistent, listen to others, and any exposure that they can get them to areas related to STEM. We live in a region that is blessed with so many opportunities of STEM. Go to the Midland Center for the Arts. Go see the new exhibit that's coming out, Speed. That's STEM related. Expose your students to those type of things. The more that they're exposed to it, the more that we hope their passions will be inspired into the STEM fields, which is our hope to provide those students with a realistic pathway in life that'll help get them accomplish the financial and social goals that they want to in the end.
Is the STEM program optional, or is it throughout?
It's not going to be optional at the elementary level. By the school year 2018-19, every single elementary in the Midland Public Schools will have the STEM curriculum infused into their science course pathway. So all elementary students will be exposed to it. As you progress into the higher grade levels, 6 through 8 and 9 through 12, the options will be more elective based. So they'll have their core curriculum, their ELA, their math, their science core courses, but their choices will become more numerous, and so they can choose pathways into either computer programming or biomedical or technology pathways. So they can choose ones that fit more of their interest niche as well. So more optional the higher you go in grade level, mandatory the lower grade levels that you have.
So you're about to open a new school in a couple of years.
Yes, ma'am. Very excited about that.
What went into that planning?
Sure. Well, step one was the generosity of the Midland community in passing our facilities bond last year. That has blessed us with an opportunity to come up with a strategic plan that will improve our facilities, but we had hoped that the improvement of the facilities would also help improve the academic outcomes of students as well too. And so the minute that the voters said yes, we started the planning process, and we've been designing this new elementary school for the past year and a half. And we've had over 30 stakeholder meetings of parents, of students, of staff members all the way from teachers to administrators, even to some of our support staff as well too, to get the design to the point that we're letting wrecking balls fly now and putting shovels in the ground. So it's been a long process, but really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me and for many administrators to be able to design a school from the ground up, especially to design that school to fit a specific part of a curriculum, the STEM initiative, that we think is really, really flourishing and becoming more important for future pathways of students. So once in a lifetime opportunity that we could not be more excited about.
There's been this big rush to give computers, or whatever we're now calling them,
Sure.
Laptops, phones,
Sure.
to
Correct.
children. And then there's been the opposite, that too much use of
Yeah.
that kind of thing kills
Sure.
creativity, or it's addictive, or
of course.
what do you know about this? What is your opinion?
I've been privileged to have experience. We call it, the education community calls it a one-to-one program, right? So a device for every single student. And what I've found with the one-to-one program is there's two things that need to go into this to make it successful. Number one, staff training is of the utmost essence. Adults, our skill set, we didn't grow up with these devices. We didn't have that soft skill set that my children have right now. You know, my children are in 4th and 3rd grade, and they can pick up an iPad and do things and teach me things every single night. So we are learning these new skills, and so to have the adults comfortable with them is the most important part, because they're the ones that are facilitating the classroom experience of it. And number two, I think the whole school community has to have a mindset that the device is not there to take the place of the teacher. It's not. And a lot of people view it as there. The device is there to enhance what the teacher is doing, to be able to give students the direct connection to Wi-Fi so they can do research on an instant. You know, the days of having to book a computer lab and waiting 2 weeks to get into it is over. The days of having to wait to word process, it's there, it's instant. The days to connect on things like Skype to experts across the world used to be something that would take a long time to facilitate. Now it can be at a click of a button. So the device is meant to enhance the instructor's instruction, not replace. And if it's going to enhance instruction, the instructor has to have training on how to utilize that. So I think that is the most important part of implementing a one-to-one program. I've seen some that have gone wonderful, and I've seen some that have gone not so wonderful. And so with our rollout of these devices, it's something that we're doing a lot of diligence to ensure that we're meeting those pillars to make sure it's successful.
When you explain STEM to kids, what do you say to them?
Yeah, it's the subject area is not in isolation. And so STEM, we all know, stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We've done a great job in education of teaching those subject areas in isolation. You go to science class, you go to math class, but we haven't done a good job of bringing those skill sets together and connecting them to real life experiences and opportunities. You know, the perception are that STEM jobs are, you're an engineer and that's it. Well, that's not true. A STEM job can be a plumber, a STEM job can be a welder, and STEM jobs are also those that are becoming labor jobs as well too. If you're going to run a lathe in a factory, you have to have the knowledge of the mathematical equations and the science background as well too to do it. And so when we explain it to them, we say it's these subject matters brought together in a way that will give you a skill set that'll help you perform in today's job world. And so hopefully bringing real life experiences for kids that are problem-based, inquiry-based, that bring those different isolated subject areas together.
Are you going to have summer programs that, I don't say support this, but
Sure.
augment it or continue it, or remedial aspects of it? I know
Sure.
that's young at that age, but still.
No, it is. The goal of our STEM strategic plan, which is a 10-year plan, is to capture what's going on in the school day and enhance that with what our auxiliary activities are as well too. We are blessed in the Midland Public Schools to have a great partner in the Midland Community Center, which is going to be right across the street from our new STEM elementary, and reforming summer daycare into summer STEM camp opportunities. They're already doing this with a lot of their camps, and I know that space is a bit of an issue. We're better to partner than with us, with a school that's built for that, right across the street. So having those opportunities for students is something that we think is the utmost importance. And we even think that before and after care, which we know is essential to working parents, if we can refine that from, for lack of a better term, babysitting into opportunities that are enhancing our curriculum, the better. And so some of the people we've been working with at the Midland Community Center have been wonderful about these ideas, and we hope that we can transform before, after care, and also summer care as well too, into educational opportunities.
Oh,
Yeah.
Really, a really impressive effort.
Yeah, it takes a lot. It takes a community. This isn't just one person. This isn't just my idea. The idea has come from multiple levels of stakeholders. You know, it started with a napkin, and it's blossomed to really the entire community influencing different aspects of how this plan has come together, from the teaching staff to the administration to our family foundations as well too, giving input on what we believe would have better impacts overall and help us achieve what our measurable outcomes are.
Are the schools, or will this school be used beyond, or will be open and functioning beyond the normal hours for classroom activities? Are there any new thoughts in this area, or old thoughts really refashioned?
Sure. Well, education is always cyclical, right? You know, an
Yeah.
idea will come in and out of favor every single 10 years. It does. We really view that this building is going to be an essential part of the community in that area of town. The specifics of what it's going to be used for and how it's going to be used, we can only dream and imagine. But we know that with a facility like this that the taxpayers have blessed us with, we'd be remiss not to allow these different unique areas, these STEM studios, these maker spaces. Even the media center is going to have the ability to transform itself into usable space. We know that multiple community groups are going to be able to take advantage of this, and again, hoping to partner with some of them to provide these extracurricular opportunities would be wonderful. It does also sit right next door to our Performing Arts Center as well too, and so having the building right next door to it will help us have some more usable space when it comes to hosting things like music festivals and drama performances as well too. It's not specifically designed to be a specific performing arts building, but we know that the spaces there will be usable and help get some of the flow better, the traffic flow better when it comes to hosting those performances at our Performing Arts Center.
I just love your enthusiasm. What were your parents
Thank
like,
you.
or what are they like?
I am blessed. I have the greatest set of parents that you could ever hope for. My father is still in education. He's still teaching. This is his 40th year, and he's retiring at the end of this year. And so I would say that his passion for education was the reason that I got into education. My mother, she also worked in education as well too, in school support roles. And again, it's one of those where you look back on it the older that you get, and you realize how blessed that you were. There was never an activity that they weren't at. The sacrifices that when you're a teenager you don't understand that they're making for you. The older you get, you look back, and now that I have my own children, you say, you know, that wasn't very easy for them to miss this activity to go to. They probably would have rather been going than coming to watch, you know, all of my JV football games as well too. They never missed an activity, and the sacrifices that they made to help me do what I wanted to do is something that I appreciate more and more over time. So blessed to have the parents that I do, and hope to achieve in my education career half of what my father has done in his educational career.
And what values would you like to instill in your children?
I think it's a hard question to just pick a couple, but
Make a list.
Well, it's optimism. And some people would look at me and say, you know, that's maybe a little bit hypocritical coming from you. There's life lessons you learn from certain people. You learn a lot of things from different mentors throughout your life. And I've been blessed to have so many wonderful mentors, and I credit a lot of what I've been able to do to them. You know, from my current superintendent, Mike Sherrow, to previous administrators I've worked for, Brent Case and Al Latos and Jamie Teedy and other guys that have just been wonderful. What they've taught me is always to prepare for the worst, but always look for the best. And so if you can prepare for what you think may be the snafus in your plan and address them before they get there, you're likely to succeed in the end of it. So, you know, I think if I can have my children be optimistic about things, to me that's half the battle, your attitude about it. Honesty, integrity, all of those others. I think a lot of those come from the environment that they're brought up in as well too. Parents have a direct impact on that, but you'd be remiss to say it's not your community, that it's not the teachers, that it's not the friends that they hang out with, and it's not the strong family support from their grandparents as well too. You know, I'd be remiss to not mention my wife and her parents as well.
Please
you
do.
know, yep, I'm blessed to have a beautiful wife. She's from Defiance, Ohio, and her parents, the values that they have that they instill in her and the treatment that they give to my children, these are things that, again, the older you get, the more that you appreciate they are. So if my kids can be optimistic and they can pursue life with knowing that integrity is of the utmost importance, I know that they're going to make me proud, and I know that they're going to be just fine. Mm-hmm.
One of the values that I try to instill in our daughter is not much talked about these days, and that is a sense of honor.
Sure.
And what honor, anyway, the way we defined it was to say, if you say you're going to do it, follow through.
No doubt about it. I agree with you completely.
Be the kind of person that people know they can trust because your word is good.
Sure.
It's not about being responsible for evil.
Sure.
But
I agree with you.
And
I think humility.
And
that's another
humility.
one that you look at as well too. It's things that kind of rub you the wrong way, braggart, and seeking to accomplish only to be accoladed. I can't. It really drives home to me that people do things for the wrong reasons. And so if you can accomplish without seeking accolade for it, it's knowing that what you did had the impact on others. That's where the sense of accomplishment comes from. Not that you're in a headline, not that your picture is in the paper, not that you've received award A, B, and C. Being able to go through tasks for the right reason and not seeking the limelight, letting the accomplishment of the task be the reward. It's tough in today's society.
How do you teach that?
Modeling, I really think. I don't know if there's a curriculum or a book that will teach it that way. It's showing and pointing out to your children people that model that and saying, why don't you look to that as a mentor, that as a hero? You know, our children so often look to sports heroes and things like that. And, you know, there are so many other people in this world that walk through life and accomplish great things and don't do it in a way that they're trying to seek endorsement for it. And so having those conversations with your children about who are the everyday heroes in life and what they're accomplishing, I think may help. But I don't know if there's a book that can do that for a kid.
I think, you know, people can either be specialists or generalists. And often generalists do the work that's less easy to identify because they're covering a lot of ground all the time.
Yeah.
But inevitably useful because they have the perspective that's wider.
Of course.
And
Sure.
we, I'm thrilled you talked about modesty or humility as and it's a different world. Do you feel you have to be a different parent now that the kids are growing up in the wired world?
Well, sure. I mean, it's there's such a balance of, you know, you want your children to have these devices because you want them to have the skills to be able to thrive and even survive in today's job market. But connectivity brings about so much in the way of, evil isn't the right word for it, but so many other challenges, from social media bullying, from, you know, being exposed instantly to viewpoints that can be extreme as well. And so, you know, when my third grader and fourth grader go on to YouTube, and you really have to be vigilant about where, who, how, and if they do see something that is extreme, being able to have an open and honest conversation before an age where none of us really had to have those conversations at that type of a young age. So they are more connected. It can be a blessing, but I think it's a blessing that you need to control just a little bit to make sure that when they are exposed, they know the dangers and that they're open-minded to be able to know to filter extremes and to be able to formulate their own opinions.
I wonder if it isn't a certain form of addiction.
It can be.
I noticed that I now have a little grandson, and just over a year old, and we were away together over the holidays, and he got hold of my phone, and for just a few seconds, and I took it away. This is the only time I've had him do a temper tantrum. And I thought, this kid got addicted
Sure.
in a very few seconds.
Mhm.
What does that say about the rest of us?
Sure.
You
No
know,
doubt about
and
it.
should we
Mhm.
modulate or monitor
Yeah,
ourselves? Never mind just the children
Sure.
are around. What do you know about that?
Well, again, I think with anything, moderation is the key. And in here, if people are watching the show, they'll say, that guy's a hypocrite. I'm connected to my devices, and it's just something that has made me function easier in life, having all of my calendar contacts and the ability to. But at the same point, I know my wife will point this out many, many times, it can become unhealthy. Because
Yes.
when do you turn yourself off? When is it okay to let an email go? You can't be doing that at dinner time, and you can't be doing that when you're on vacation with your family. And I'm guilty, I've done the same thing. So I think it's knowing when to moderate, knowing when to turn off and to divert and focus your attentions to what they should be to. And I think this is something that was going to become more of a challenge as the devices become more integrated. Knowing when to turn it off and knowing when it's applicable. And again, I'd be a bit of a hypocrite to say if I didn't have some of those issues myself. And so I think it's going to be growing pains for all of us as we become more of a wired and connected society.
Thank you, Brian. That was very interesting.
Thank you.
So we have a lot to review here. So first of all, it's important to live your life with enthusiasm, whether you're in the work environment or home environment, and that people respond better to that, and it's a more interesting world by implication. Also, if you're in a leadership position, you have to work really hard because people respect that and they admire that. In terms of values, he is right on top of making it easier for people to find a way to understand and find a way to do, knowing that some people are easier to get along with and some people need a little more explanation or attention. So I would like to invite you to live this week with enthusiasm, to find a way to make it better for someone by something you said or something you did so that they can feel better and enthused about our life. And I'll see you next time. And thank you so much, Brian. It was
Thank you
just
very much.
really wonderful to
An
have
honor
you
and privilege for me to appear. Thank you.
on the program.
Thank you.
So.
To contact Junia, send her an email at info@juniadone.com. For more information, program schedules, and news about future guests, go to www.juniadone.com. Thanks for joining us. See you next time for Uncommon Sense with Junia Doan.
Local productions on QTV are made possible with support from viewers like you. Thank you.